It was a cold, dark winter night when I boarded the last train home. The city was quiet, with only the soft hum of the train and the occasional flicker of the lights. The platform was nearly empty, save for a few late-night passengers huddled in the corner. The snow outside had begun to fall heavier, making everything look more isolated, more distant. I found my seat near the back, hoping for a peaceful ride, but the silence in the train was unsettling. Too still, almost like something was waiting. As the train rumbled along, I couldn't help but notice a man sitting across from me. He had been staring at me for a while, his eyes never moving, just fixed on me like he was waiting for something. I tried to ignore it, but the weight of his gaze felt suffocating, almost like he could see right through me. He wasn't acting odd, not in any obvious way, but something about his presence felt wrong. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew something was off. Without any warning, the train came to an abrupt halt, jerking everyone forward. The lights flickered and went out for a brief moment. I felt my heart race as the silence in the car grew thicker. I looked around, but no one seemed to react. No one moved, not even the man who had been staring at me. The train sat still in the dark, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't where we were supposed to be. There was no announcement, no explanation, just an unnatural stillness. I started to hear it then, soft, almost imperceptible scratching noises coming from somewhere in the darkness. At first, I thought it was just my mind playing tricks on me, but the sound grew louder, more distinct, like something, or someone, was moving around in the train, just out of sight. I looked around at the other passengers, but no one seemed to hear it. No one seemed to notice anything at all. But I couldn't stop listening to it, feeling my skin crawl as the sound got closer. The door at the end of the car suddenly creaked open. I couldn't see anything at first, just blackness beyond the doorway. But then, I saw it, a silhouette standing there in the dark. A tall, thin figure, completely still, as if waiting for something. The air felt thick, as if something terrible was about to happen. My breath caught in my throat, and I could feel my heart racing as the figure slowly stepped forward into the train. But no one moved. No one noticed. Not even the man who had been staring at me. The figure came closer, and I could see that its face was pale, almost unnaturally white, with no expression at all. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. It sat down across from me, its eyes never leaving mine. The cold in the air felt even more intense now, as if the temperature had dropped by several degrees. The man who had been staring at me earlier was still there, but now, he was just gone. Like he had never been there at all. I was alone with this strange, emotionless person who seemed to want something I couldn't understand. Suddenly, the train lurched again, breaking the silence. The lights flickered, and for a moment, everything seemed to shift. The world outside the windows seemed to warp, like we weren't even on a real track anymore. The figure didn't move, but I could feel its presence pressing against me, like it was slowly suffocating me. I looked at the other passengers, but they were still frozen, trapped in their own worlds, unaware of what was happening around them. I could hear my breath, shallow and quick, and then the figure leaned closer. I didn't want to look, but I had no choice. I glanced at the figure's face and saw that its eyes weren't empty anymore. They were full of something dark, something horrible. The eyes seemed to burn into my soul. I could feel it in my chest, that suffocating weight of fear. My hands were shaking, but I had to escape. The train. It wasn't going to stop, not until I was gone. I stood up, my legs weak, and ran for the door. But as I reached the exit, I froze. The train. It wasn't stopping. The doors didn't open. The world outside was pitch black. I turned back, but the figure was gone. The man who had been staring at me was gone. And when I looked at the other passengers, I realized they were all just like me, frozen, trapped in their own endless ride. The train kept going, and I had no idea where it was headed, only that it would never stop. I woke up the next morning in my own bed, but the feeling lingered. The train, the figure, the cold. It all felt so real. But when I checked the time, I saw I had missed my stop. I couldn't explain it. The whole night felt like a dream, but it didn't feel like one I could wake from. I don't know if I'll ever get on another train again, because I know, deep down, that the last train home doesn't always take you to the place you want to go.